clear stands for Concept Learning for Empowerment Through Exchange and Reflection. Exchange Analysis and Reflection. Sorry. The group is actually exchanging experiences around concept learning. So in democracy and human rights education, there are a lot of concepts that are being addressed. Citizenship, Europe, tolerance, democracy. And very often we find that we don't have a similar understanding. And that actually manifested itself during the first time during the NECE conference in Cordoba. And then there was a group of people who thought, okay, this disagreement, is that not also a good opportunity in itself? Because the original approach was to come up with a glossary with definitive definitions, and very often people ask for that. But actually there are already so many definitions, so if you just add another definition, that one is not going to replace. So some people said the process of trying to find a common definition is much more interesting than actually the impossibility of having a finite definition, because meanings always change. And from that starting point, there have been a lot of activities and pilots, mostly in tandems between educational institutes, to work with students to really explore the different meanings. And you always start with what are your own conceptions. And from there on, you're going to compare them. And then you look at different notions, also in different times, in different contexts. And you can every time add more layers of complexity. And what you see that somewhere in that process, you have a paradigm shift. You don't say, okay, there's only one meaning in your head. No, there can be multiple meanings. And if you have that, you have more tolerance for uncertainty, for example. And those are things that are very fundamental for human rights and democracy education, and basically what NECE is all about. We tried to make it into a workshop. It was quite challenging because it was during the plenary session. So we had like hundreds of people. So normally people are always sitting like in a row listening to the speaker, and we wanted to change that. So we tried to have a very brief introduction and then let people experience how it is. So we chose, during the last focus group meeting, we chose several concepts such as solidarity, responsibility, terrorism, Europeanness, that we felt were very close related to the overall theme of this conference on us and them in an interdependent world. And then we set the whole room that people would work in groups of 4, and first in silence make their own definition, then compare them, and then introduce other notions. So of course this is a very slimmed down version of what we normally would do. I mean, there are people who have implemented a clear method over the course of a whole semester with their students. And I think that also has the added value that you have more time to really think about it. But within the limitations of a 1-hour workshop and the big space, I think this was the best that we could do. And it seemed to work. People were very engaged. So personally, I'm happy that it worked. I think it's quite relevant because the problem that started in Cordoba several years ago is still here. Yesterday, during the lectures and the presentations, a lot of concepts were mentioned. So this activity helped them to be aware that the meaning can be different by different people. And at the same time, we gave some practical methodologies that you can directly use. So I think it's practical, but also very much the awareness that concepts shouldn't be taken at face value.